Hi everyone, in this video I would like to give you some hints and direction on puzzles 4 through 7 on your linear packet, your linear family. And so let's look at puzzle number 4. Puzzle number 3 was quite difficult and long, so we gave you a little bit of a break in puzzle number 4. So you're given clues that it's parallel to y equals 6x minus 1, and it goes through the point 0,7. This is an easy point because you're given the y-intercept, and if it's parallel to 6x minus 1, the slope must be the same. So the slope must be 6. So right away, actually, within a few seconds, without doing any work, I know that h of x is equal to 6x plus 7, y equals mx plus b. So now I can go into my table, and if I'm given these x values, I can substitute them in. So at 0, it's at 7. And since I'm given the slope, the rate of change, and these are increasing by 1, I can take a shortcut, plus 6, and then minus 6 the other direction, minus 6. So now it is plus 6 every time, except it jumps to 7 here, so I'll put that in. 6 times 7 is 42, 42 plus 7 is 49. If x equals 10, 6 times 10 is 60, 60 plus 7 is 67. And I can pick a few points and plot them on my graph, or I could go and do my key features next. So my rate of change is 6, rate of change is 6. My y-intercept is 0,7, it was given to me. My x-intercept happens when y is 0. So I'll substitute 0 in for y. 0 equals 6x plus 7, subtract 7 on both sides, and divide by 6. So my x-intercept must happen at negative 7 divided by 6. Which, this is incorrect, you should fix that. That should be negative 7 over 6, comma 0. My parallel line would have the same slope, and then my perpendicular would have the negative flipped fraction, negative reciprocal, so that would be negative 1 over 6. Going down here, h of 19, that's giving me h of x, the x value. So 6 times 19 is almost the same as 6 times 20, which is 120, but it's 6 less. So that's 114. 114 plus 7 is 121. Solve h of x equals 19 in less than 3 seconds. That's a hint that it must be easy. So if I zoom out here, I realize they're giving me the y value, and if I go into my table, oh my gosh, it's right there. The y value is 19 when x equals 2. So it must be x equals 2. Notice the difference in notation. This one's giving you the x value, and this one is giving you the y value. Write down the equation of the line. That means it also must be equal. A perpendicular with a y-intercept of 10. So I take my perpendicular slope, which is negative 1/6, y equals mx plus b, and my y-intercept is 10. Last but not least, we are asked to solve, given q, pattern q, which is equal to negative x squared, solve when this pattern, 6x plus 7, is equal to this pattern, negative x squared. So this seems to be a quadratic puzzle, so I set it equal to 0. I'm going to move this negative x squared over to the right-hand side. So it becomes positive x squared plus 6x plus 7 equals 0. And I could also graph it to figure out what my intersections are going to be on Desmos. So I have the left-hand side is 6x plus 7, and that's q of x, I think. And then my right-hand side, h of x is, oh wait, no, this is h of x. And this is q of x is equal to negative x squared. And I get that my intersections, ooh, they're ugly, are here and here. So those are going to be ugly numbers. So let's try to factor it. So x squared plus 6x plus 7. What multiplies to 7x squared and adds to positive 6x? And there's no easy numbers that do that. So we cannot factor. So algebraically, we would have to go to the quadratic formula and substitute in what we know. Here is our a value of 1, our b value is 6, and our c value is 7. And then we get x equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 8 all over 2, which can get simplified. This can break up into the square root of 4 and the square root of 2, so that becomes 2 root 2 over 2, which you can simplify because negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, and 2 root 2 divided by 2 is just square root of 2. So this would be your final answer. I can double check that on Desmos to make sure it's the same as what I get for my intersections. Negative 3 plus the square root of 2 is negative 1.58, which I got there. And negative 3 minus the square root of 2 is negative 4.14, which is what I got here. So all good. I have verified it. And we are done with puzzle number 4. Puzzle number 5, hint, g of x is perpendicular to f of x, and you're given 2 points on the line. So doing math, you could start with either one, but you should take a shortcut when you go to find the other one because they're perpendicular to each other. So if you know one slope, you know the other. Key features, you should do the key features for both of them. And for the table, we can get this in Desmos. So I know that g of x is negative 7x plus 0.9, or 1/9. So left-hand side, negative 7x plus 0.9. And the right-hand side, f of x, is negative 7x. 1/7x. 1/7 x plus 5. 1/7 x plus 5. Okay. And now I can go to, let's make sure this is y equals and this is y equals. And we're going to go to convert to table. And now I have my values for that pattern, and I can also get a table here. So I have my values for that pattern. Quite ugly values, random to 2 decimals or so. Algebraically solve when the two are equal. I would clear your fractions by multiplying the whole thing by 10 and maybe the whole thing by 7. Take 2 steps to clear your fractions. And you should get the same as what you would get on Desmos, so 287 over 480. Let's see, this is the intersection here. Somewhere around 0.59, 287 divided by 480, negative, yep, there we go, that is verified. That's the same thing graphically as what I get when I do it algebraically. Puzzle number 6, perpendicular, you would have to rearrange this first to y equals and then find the slope and make sure it goes through the point 1, negative 2. So what was its slope if it was given to us in standard form? Get it in y equals, so it will look like this. And so then you have y equals 9/2 minus 3/2 x, and that is your slope. So the perpendicular slope when we go to build that line will be positive 2/3, and then it has to go through y equals negative 2, x equals 1. Y equals negative 2, x equals 1. And if I manipulate that a little bit and get a common denominator here, I end up with the line y equals 2/3 x mx minus 8/3. When I go to do that table, I'm going to start with my y-intercept, 0, negative 8/3. And then I know the slope is up 2/3 every time. So I am going to go up 2/3 to negative 6 over 3, up 2/3 to negative 4 over 3, up 2/3 to negative 2 over 3, up 2/3 to 0. And the same thing, you can work backwards. So work smarter, not harder in that. Follow the pattern to fill in it instead of having to fill in each of these x values and try to calculate the y value. Your key features are relatively straightforward, especially if you end up going all the way to x equals 4 because it gives you the y-intercept. But the other way that you could do that is to put 0 in here, clear your fraction on both sides, and then solve, and you would get the same thing algebraically. You don't have an algebraic problem to do on there, so the last one that I'll talk about is puzzle number 7. You're given the y-intercept at 0, 5, and you're given that it goes through the point x equals 4, y equals 7. So just like the one we did in class, you're given 2 points and you can easily find the slope and fill it in. And you're not given any algebra on that one as well. The final puzzle, puzzle number 8, talks about what if, I think it says like f of x equals a, and a has to be a constant. So a constant just means any number, a solid number, without a variable. So for instance, you could have f of x equals your favorite number, like 17. And what does that graph look like? And what does that mean about its key features? Or g of x equals 2. And what does that graph look like, and what are its key features? In general, if you have equals A, what is similar about all of these lines where your r of x equals A, where y is just a constant, y equals a constant? So keep your key features in terms of the number A, and try to figure puzzle number 8 out. So those are my hints for puzzle number 8.